Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. Okay. So we start with chapter 12 today, the law of least effort. Just a minute. Yeah. Just hold on, please. Excuse me. Just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, the law of least effort. In his award winning book, Guns, Germs, and Steel, anthropologist and biologist Jared Diamond points out a simple fact: different continents have different shapes. At first glance, this statement seems rather obvious and unimportant, but it turns out to have a profound impact on human behavior. The primary axis of the Americas runs from north to south. That is, the landmass of North and South America tends to be tall and thin rather than wide and fat. The same is generally true for Africa. Meanwhile, the landmass that makes up Europe, Asia, and the Middle East is the opposite. This massive stretch of land tends to be more east west in shape. According to Diamond, this difference in shape played a significant role in the spread of agriculture over the centuries. When agriculture began to spread around the globe, farmers had an easier time expanding along east west routes than along north south ones. This is because locations along the same latitude generally share similar climates, amounts of sunlight and rainfall, and changes in season. These factors allowed farmers in Europe and Asia to domesticate a few crops and grow them along the entire stretch of land from France to China. The shape of human behavior. By comparison, the climate varies greatly when traveling from north to south. Just imagine how different the weather is in Florida compared to Canada. You can be the most talented farmer in the world, but it won't help you grow Florida oranges in the Canadian winter. Snow is a poor substitute for soil. In order to spread crops along north south routes, farmers would need to find and domesticate new plants whenever the climate changed. As a result, agriculture spread 2 to 3 times faster across Asia and Europe than it did up and down the Americas. Over the span of centuries, this small difference had a very big impact. Increased food production allowed for more rapid population growth. With more people, these cultures were able to build stronger armies and were better equipped to develop new technologies. The changes started out small: a crop that spread slightly farther, a population that grew slightly faster, but compounded into substantial differences over time. The spread of agriculture provides an example of the third law of behavior change on a global scale. Conventional wisdom holds that motivation is a key to habit change. Maybe if you really wanted it, you'd actually do it. But the truth is, our real motivation is to be lazy and to do what is convenient. And despite the latest productivity bestseller will tell you, this is a small strategy, not a dumb one. Energy is precious, and the brain is wired to conserve it whenever possible. It is human nature to follow the law of least effort, which states that when deciding between two similar options, people will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. For example, expanding your farm to the east, where you can grow the same crops, rather than heading north, where the climate is different. Out of all the possible actions we could take, the one that is realized is the one that delivers the most value for the least effort. We are motivated to do what is easy. Every action requires a certain amount of energy. The more energy required, the less likely it is to occur. If your goal is to do 100 push ups per day, that's a lot of energy. In the beginning, when you're motivated and excited, you can muster the strength to get started. But after a few days, such a massive effort feels exhausting. Meanwhile, sticking to the habit of doing one push up per day requires almost no energy to get started. And the less energy a habit requires, the more likely it is to occur. Look at any behavior that fills up much of your life, and you'll see that it can be performed with very low levels of motivation. Habits like scrolling on our phones, checking email, and watching television steal so much of our time because they can be performed almost without effort. They are remarkably convenient. In a sense, every habit is just an obstacle to getting what you really want. Dieting is an obstacle to getting fit. Meditation is an obstacle to feeling calm. Journaling is an obstacle to thinking clearly. You don't actually want the habit itself. What you really want is the outcome the habit delivers. The greater the obstacle, that is, the more difficult the habit, the more friction that there is between you and your desired end state. This is why it is crucial to make your habits so easy that you'll do them even when you don't feel like it. If you can make your good habits more convenient, you'll be more likely to follow through on them. But what about all the moments when we seem to do the opposite? If we're all so lazy, then how do you explain people accomplishing hard things like raising a child or starting a business or climbing Mount Everest? Certainly, you are capable of doing very hard things. The problem is that some days you feel like doing the hard work and some days you feel like giving in. On the tough days, it's crucial to have as many things working in your favor as possible so that you can overcome the challenges life naturally throws your way. The less friction you face, the easier it is for your stronger self to emerge. The idea behind make it easy only is not to only do easy things. The idea is to make it as easy as possible in the moment to do things that pay off in the long run. How to achieve more with less effort. Imagine you are holding a garden hose that is bent in the middle. Some water can flow through, but not very much. If you want to increase the rate at which water passes through the hose, you have two options. The first option is to crank up the valve and force more water out. The second option is to simply remove the bend in the hose and let water flow through naturally. Trying to pump up your motivation to stick with a hard habit is like trying to force water through a bent hose. You can do it, but it requires a lot of effort and increases the tension in your life. Meanwhile, making your habit simple and easy is like removing the bend in the hose. Rather than trying to overcome the friction in your life, you reduce it. One of the most effective ways to reduce the friction associated with your habits is to practice environment design. In chapter 6, we discussed environment design as a method for making cues more obvious, but you can also optimize your environment to make actions easier. For example, When deciding where to practice a new habit, it is best to choose a place that is already along the path of your daily routine. Habits are easier to build when they fit into the flow of your life. You are more likely to go to the gym if it is on your way to work because stopping doesn't add much friction to your lifestyle. By comparison, if the gym is off the path of your normal commute, even by just a few blocks, now you're going out of your way to get there. People even more effective, perhaps even more effective is reducing the friction within your home or office. Too often, we try to start habits in high friction environments. We try to follow a strict diet while we are out to dinner with friends. We try to write a book in a chaotic household. We try to concentrate while using a smartphone filled with distractions. It doesn't have to be this way. We can remove the points of friction that hold us back. This is precisely what electronics manufacturers in Japan began to do in the 1970s. In an article published in the New Yorker titled Better All the Time, James Surowiecki writes, Japanese firms emphasized what came to be known as lean production, relentlessly looking to remove waste of all kinds from the production process, down to redesigning workspaces. So, workers didn't have to waste time twisting and turning to reach their tools. The result was that Japanese factories were more efficient and Japanese products were more reliable than American ones. In 1974, service calls for American made color televisions were 5 times as common as for Japanese televisions. By 1979, it took American workers 3 times as long to assemble their sets. I like to refer to this strategy as addition by subtraction. The Japanese companies looked for every point of friction in the manufacturing process and eliminated it. As they subtracted wasted effort, they added customers and revenue. Similarly, when we remove the points of friction that sap our time and energy, we can achieve more with less effort. This is one reason tidying up can feel so good. We are simultaneously moving forward and lightening the cognitive load our environment places on us. If you look at the most habit forming products, you will notice that one of the things these goods and services do best is remove little bits of friction from your life. Meal delivery services reduce the friction of shopping for groceries. Dating apps reduce the friction of making social introductions. Ride sharing services reduce the friction of getting across town. Text messaging reduces the friction of sending a letter in the mail. Like a Japanese television manufacturer, redesigning their workshop to reduce wasted motion, successful companies design their products to automate, eliminate, or simplify as many steps as possible. They reduce the number of fields on each form. They pare down the number of clicks required to create an account. They deliver their products with easy to understand directions or ask their customers to make fewer choices. When the first voice activated speakers were released, products like Google Home, Amazon Echo, and Apple HomePod, I asked a friend what he liked about the product he had purchased. He said it was just easier to say, play some country music, than to pull out his phone, open the music app, and pick a playlist. Of course, just a few years earlier, having unlimited access to music in your pocket was a remarkably frictionless behavior compared to driving to the store and buying a CD. Business is a never ending quest to deliver the same result in an easier fashion. Similar strategies have been used effectively by governments. When the British government wanted to increase tax collection rates, they switched from sending citizens to a web page where the tax form could be downloaded to linking directly to the form. Reducing that one step in the process increase the response rate from 19.2% to 23.4%. For a country like the United Kingdom, those percentage points represent millions in tax revenue. The central idea is to create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. Much of the battle of building better habits comes down to finding ways to reduce the friction associated with our good habits and increase the friction associated with our bad ones. Prime the environment for future use. Oswald Nichols is an IT developer from Natchez, Mississippi. He's also someone who understands the power of priming his environment. Nichols dialed in his cleaning habits by following a strategy he refers to as resetting the room. For instance, when he finishes watching television, he places the remote back on the TV stand, arranges the pillows on the couch, and folds the blanket. When he leaves his car, he throws any trash away. Whenever he takes a shower, he wipes down the toilet while the shower is warming up. As he notes, the perfect time to clean the toilet is right before you wash yourself in the shower anyway. The purpose of resetting each room is not simply to clean up after the last action, but to prepare for the next action. When I walk into a room, everything is in its right place, Nichols wrote. Because I do this every day in every room, stuff always stays in good shape. People think I work hard, but I'm actually really lazy. I'm just proactively lazy. It gives you so much time back. Whenever you organize a space for its intended purpose, you are priming it to make the next action easy. For instance, my wife keeps a box of greeting cards that are pre sorted by occasion: birthday, sympathy, wedding, graduation, and more. Whenever necessary, she grabs an appropriate card and sends it off. She's incredibly good at remembering to send cards because she has reduced the friction of doing so. For years, I was the opposite. Someone would have a baby, and I would think I should send a card. But then weeks would pass by. But then weeks would pass, and by the time I remembered to pick one up at the store, it was too late. The habit wasn't easy. There are many ways to prime your environment so it's ready for immediate use. If you want to cook a healthy breakfast, place the skillet on the stove, set the cooking spray on the counter, and lay out any plates and utensils you'll need the night before. When you wake up, making breakfast will be easy. Want to draw more? Put your pencils, pens, notebooks, and drawing tools on top of your desk within easy reach. Want to exercise? Set out your workout clothes, shoes, gym bag, and water bottle ahead of time. Want to improve your diet? Chop up a ton of fruits and vegetables on weekends and pack them in containers so you have easy access to healthy, ready to eat options during the week. These are simple ways to make the good habit the path of least resistance. You can also invert this principle and prime the environment to make bad behaviors difficult. If you find yourself watching too much television, for example, then unplug it after every use. Only plug it back in if you can say out loud the name of the show you want to watch. This setup creates just enough friction to prevent mindless viewing. If that doesn't do it, you can take it a step further. Unplug the television and take the batteries out of the remote after each use so it takes an extra 10 seconds to turn it back on. And if you're really hardcore, move the television out of the living room and into a closet after each use. You can be sure you'd only take it out when you really want to watch something. The greater the friction, the less likely the habit. Whenever possible, I leave my phone in a different room until lunch. When it's right next to me, I'll check it all morning for no reason at all. But when it is in another room, I rarely think about it. and the friction is high enough that I won't go get it without a reason. Excuse me. As a result, I get 3 to 4 hours each morning when I can work without interruption. If sticking your phone in another room doesn't seem like enough, tell a friend or family member to hide it from you for a few hours. Ask a coworker to keep it at their desk in the morning and give it back to you at lunch. It is remarkable how little friction is required to prevent unwanted behavior. When I hide beer in the back of the fridge where I can't see it, I drink less. When I delete social media apps from my phone, it can be weeks before I download them again and log in. These tricks are unlikely to curb a true addiction, but for many of us, a little bit of friction can be the difference between sticking with a good habit or sliding into a bad one. Imagine the cumulative impact of making dozens of these changes and living in an environment designed to make the good behaviors easier and the bad behaviors harder. Whether we are approaching behavior change as an individual, a parent, a coach, or a leader, we should ask ourselves the same question. How can we design a world where it's easy to do what's right? Redesign your life so the actions that matter most are also the actions that are easiest to do. Chapter summary. Human behavior follows the law of least effort. We will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. Create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. Reduce the friction associated with good behaviors, and when friction is low, habits are easy. Increase the friction associated with bad behaviors. When friction is high, habits are difficult. Prime your environment to make future actions easier. So we come to the end of the chapter. And does anyone want to go? Anything that you'd like to share about the chapter you just heard? Yes, Chandrasekhar, or Tanmay, Taranjit, Harshita. I hope all of you are awake. Yeah, Chandrasekhar.
Yes, ma'am. Here I
Yes.
would like to share in one thing by using gadgets, ma'am, especially in mobile.
Okay.
I always put on power saving mode, ma'am. Why, because in power saving mode, they
Mm-hmm.
given options for using only 4 apps
Okay.
rather than they using all apps in power saving mode. When I wanted to use, I just
Okay.
exchange the apps when I needed.
Okay, good. So, and is that really helping you control your time on the
Yes,
phone?
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, ma'am. Because if all apps is there now, when I take my mobile, it take spend much more time to watching like spending other app also. When
Okay. All right.
switch off the power saving mode, it gives only 4 options for 4 apps by using when. So I use wherever, whenever needed.
Okay, that's very good. So you've devised your own little method of controlling your use, isn't it? That's very nice. Okay, all right.
I remember but in this chapter this point.
So you could relate to this chapter, right, Chandrasekhar?
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
what
Yes, ma'am.
you, yeah, and which is true, isn't it? Because it's true that we try to do things least effort with a lot of
Uh,
good results. Yes, in everything, I think most of us are wired like that. So it's always better to find a way of doing that, but in a good way, right? All right.
yeah.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. That was good. Anyone else?
I would like to say that what the author says, the human behavior that follows the least effort is very true. Like,
Yeah.
I remember that I was going to a gym which was on my way to the Gurudwara. I
Okay.
used to go it regularly. but then that same gym shifted 2 buildings on the left side,
Okay. All right.
and then it became like dwindling. First, it
Yeah.
was 1 week completely. I went religiously.
Okay.
Then second week, 3 times. Then 2 times. Then 1 time. And then for 15 days, I did not go only. So
Okay.
it is
And now,
that
have
way.
you resumed it? Have you resumed it?
Yes, I've resumed it now.
Yeah,
So
it's true, we look at convenience, if it's something which is literally like if for instance, I don't know how many of you have this thing with we like fruit, but when it comes to having fruit like pomegranate, we wait for somebody else to peel it and keep it ready for us, right?
yes,
Because it's so much easier when somebody, it's not that it's difficult, but the sheer effort of having to. So if there's an apple next to the pomegranate, you would go for the apple. Am I right?
yeah, true.
Yeah, so it's true. Thank you, Taranjit. That was a good share. Anyone else?
I would like to share another point from this chapter, ma'am.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, this point, ma'am. Like when I walk into a room, everything is it in right place? Here he
Okay.
said, author said, because I do this every day in the every room, stuff always stays in good shape. People think I work hard, but I'm actually really lazy. I'm just proactive lazy.
Yes.
Gives so much time back.
Yeah, proactively lazy. Yeah, I really love that phrase myself. It's all a little bit of planning. So you don't have to go out of the way to do things. The little bit here and there is enough to make it easier for you and get good habits in place, right?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, when we did every day, it takes a less time for one day. My friends spend half day
Mhm.
for cleaning the room and everything arranged. But I did everything in orderly in every morning. It takes less
Okay.
time for me on the end of the day.
Exactly. But the thing is, you have to be systematic, and that has to be put the practice of doing it every day. That is what we have to, yeah, motivate, as he say, in some way and make it easy. Do it in such a way that, it's like, for instance, when you go to brush your teeth, bring an activity there because you will brush your teeth every morning. So when you combine that with something else, the activity gets done. So he says, do it very cleverly in a way that you feel that you're not doing something hard, isn't it? All right.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you,
yes, ma'am.
Chandrasekhar. Anyone else? Tanmay? Harshita? Anything. If you don't agree with something in the chapter, also you can say it.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, Harshita. Go on, please.
Yeah, it's every habit is easy to build until we continue it, until we continue it doing every day. Yeah,
Okay.
I said organizing our day and the things will help us a lot, ma'am.
Okay. So, how are you? Do you organize everything on a daily basis?
Yeah, ma'am. I am so organized person. My things should be organized and my daily plans also should be organized from morning to night.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
also
very
first day it feels and first day we need to keep a bit more efforts to continue to next day.
okay. But at
So
any
there will
point,
be
do you feel like giving up, Harshita? Do you think, okay, I don't want to do it today?
when I did it first time I felt a bit, but second day I felt so it's going to become easy and I'm doing it every day.
Okay, very
It
good.
becomes a part in our day to day things and all.
Absolutely. Yeah. It becomes a part of your regular, whatever you do, isn't it? A regular schedule.
If
And
we
that
don't
becomes.
do it after habituating it, we feel something incomplete.
Yes, true. So that way you've made a good habit part of your life, isn't it? So you can't manage without it.
Yeah, when I felt this is that when I started reading book, okay, it's 1 week it's a bit hard, and I started reading only for 1 page every day. Later
Okay.
on, when I stopped for any other reasons, I felt something incomplete, and I found okay, I need to read book every day. That's what I'm feeling incomplete.
Yes, that's very good. And you know, even for people who feel it's difficult to read in a particular language, let's say you find it difficult when you read English, you know, reading even a paragraph every day aloud is going to help you, because as you know, the author says, a little bit every day, as they say, it's a something we hear all the time, that it takes many drops to make the ocean, isn't it? So little efforts every day can really go a long way, and you have something huge at the end of it.
When I started reading a book, I thought, when will I complete this book? We have more than 200, 300 pages. But in less than 1 month, I completed 4 books reading. Reading
Okay,
4
when you
books.
stop counting the pages, right?
Yeah, went
Yeah.
on like.
Very good, very good. Yes. So I think you already got the hang of it, you know. I mean, and if you have the persistence, you know, and the resistance, as he says,
Yeah.
the friction, if you can overcome that and move on, then it becomes very smooth. It's like when you are stitching and you have this knot in a thread, you know, on the thread that you're using. Once it's irritating till you take the knot out, but once the knot is out, it's so smooth, right?
Yes.
As simple as that. Thank you, Harshita.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Do you want to say something else?
Nothing, ma'am. If you organize our day-to-day things, it will be easy and we'll not confuse what to do first and what to do next. It will flow like.
All right, very good. Yeah. So
Thank you.
one thing I'd like to request all the participants, since this is a reading club, okay? When there's something that you have to say, even if you want to say no, switch on, unmute, and just say it, because then you'll get into the habit of speaking, so everybody can hear your lovely voices. Okay? It's okay. You don't have to have something to say every time. Even to say I don't have anything to say is also fine. But it will be nice to hear your voices rather than on the chat. Okay, unless you have lost your voice and you have a bad throat or a sore throat, otherwise it would be lovely to hear your voices. Okay, all right. Anyone else, or should we call it a day, a night rather? Does anyone else have you? Did you like the chapter, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's nice. Only Chandrasekhar seemed to have liked the chapter. Okay,
No, it
Bharat.
was
Yeah.
also
I
very
was
good.
sorry, I joined very late. I was in back-to-back meeting till now, so I couldn't make it today.
Okay.
But I thought at least last moment I can join. So,
No problem. So it's lovely to have you. It doesn't matter if you're late and you had work to do. It's good that you could join us today. So I think that's most important. Of course, you can join us for the next few sessions. That is
yeah,
tomorrow. Yeah. All right. So I think since no one else has anything to say, shall we stop with this for today?
Yes. I would like
Yeah.
to give one more example that was given. Like if we pre-organize our things, like
Yeah.
cooking apart, because I have to go very early to work.
Okay.
So I put all the things on the shelf at the night before so that the noise is less, the other people in the house are not disturbed, and
Okay.
everything is handy. I don't have to fend for things. Where is the spoon? Where is the knife? Where is the bowl? So
Okay.
that is also a very good idea, that we can pre-plan it, pre-habit it, so that we don't have the other time when we need something, we don't have to keep rushing around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even not just the daily things, also, even important things. Don't we? I think we do it automatically for important things, isn't it? Like if we have a meeting to attend, we even keep our clothes out, everything is ready, you know,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
we can just leave in the morning. So
Yes.
if we do that on a daily basis for little things, life becomes a lot easier,
Yes.
isn't it? All right. Thank you, Taranjit. So I think we've had quite a few shares. We'll call it a night, and let's meet again tomorrow for the next chapter. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
good night, everyone. Have a great day.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.